Welcome in again to another episode of the Crypto Dojo Show, where we discuss everything you should know about the world of crypto. And in today's session, uh, what I want to talk about is legislation. What I want to talk about is the bills that are being passed in Congress. There's a lot going on right now in terms of lawmakers making laws to define and legalize or give legitimacy from a legal standpoint to this space. So I'm gonna play a quick clip from a Congress hearing. Brian Brooks is explaining to the politicians, elected officials, what blockchain technology is. After this quick video, I'm then going to show you the one of the actual bills that has passed Senate and it has passed the House. So these are just things to be aware of as we're moving through this space. Again, as you start having conversations with people about the topic, you'll have a frame of reference. You'll have some good footing to stand on. So, with that being said, let me just go ahead and play this video real quick.
Mr. Brooks, let's step back from digital assets and blockchain for a moment. Let's talk about where the internet was, where it's come to, where it's going, right? We're trying to level set here for policymakers. So originally, the internet was a read-only format, in essence. We're consuming information. And then there's additional layers that we place on. It became much more interactive. But counterintuitively, much more interactive, but much more centralized in Web 1, Web 2. What we're hearing now is Web 3. Policymakers need to understand the nature of Web 3. This is a hearing about a component of Web 3. Now, along those lines, what are the characteristics that defined Web 1 and Web 2?
Mr. McHenry, thank you very much for that question. I think that's critical to understanding what we're all trying to build here. So the characteristic of Web 1, if people remember their original AOL account, was an ability to look in a curated walled garden at a set of content that was not interactive but was presented to you on AOL the way that Time magazine used to show you the articles they wanted you to see inside of their magazine. Just you could see it on a screen. The innovation of Web 2 was that suddenly you could not only read content, but you could also write content. This is when the blogosphere became a big thing. People remember this from the late 90s, the early 2000s. The reason for the centralization of the internet, of course, was that all of that activity was being monetized by a very small number of companies. Facebook, as the chairwoman mentions, Google, and 2 or 3 other companies. What makes Web3 different is the ability to own the actual network. And that's what crypto assets themselves represent, is an ownership stake in an underlying network. So when you hear people talk about, for example, layer 1 tokens, what they mean is this is your reward for providing the ledger maintenance services, the computing power to the network that on Web 1 and 2 was done by Google, right? So now people in my hometown of Pueblo, Colorado can actually own the Ethereum network, but they can't own the internet. That's owned by Google and a few other companies. That's what the Project of Crypto is all about, is allowing people to directly own the networks that have native assets that are supporting it, and that's the nature of decentralization, where the token holders are the people who control the asset, not Google.
Token holders, for our language here on the Hill, those are digital assets, right? Which are the keys to open up the ledger for you to participate, right? So describe to us how those digital assets fit into this internet revolution, Web 3.
So the concept is that you have sort of application layer tokens and you have protocol layer tokens. So if I'm an owner of Bitcoin, let's say that I'm a miner of Bitcoin, somebody who actually creates Bitcoin. The Bitcoin is the reward I receive for doing the work to keep the network operational, and that allows me to own a piece of the Bitcoin blockchain. Or take Ethereum, which is easier to understand. The Ether token represents an ownership stake in the network, but on top of that network are all kinds of apps that get built on the network, much like the apps on your phone depend on the underlying network existing that lets the phone operate. And so people will make judgments about which network is likely to win, and they will invest in the tokens in that network much the same way you might invest in Google stock because you think Google is going to scale access to the original internet. The difference being here, you can vote on what happens in the future of a proof of stake network, for example. You can get rewarded through a proof of work token for maintaining a ledger on something like Bitcoin. But the real message here is that what happens on the decentralized internet is decided by the investors, versus what happens on the main internet is decided by Twitter, Facebook, Google, and a small number of other companies.
Okay, so getting this layer on digital assets right, for Congress to understand this, everything is built upon that on-ramp to this new internet. So very important for us to be sensitive to how this develops and any actions we take in terms of laws and updating laws to incorporate these new technologies.
Yeah, Mr. McHenry couldn't agree more, and I think when you hear about all of the problems of different big tech companies, the importance of an owner-controlled network becomes clearer.
Okay, owner-controlled network rather than a cooperative, right? And thinking in those terms,
Absolutely.
right? So if you're not a part of management, you're not making a decision in Web 2. If you are a participant in the network, you're cooperating in the making of those decisions.
Exactly right.
Okay, so I ask this not to be insulting to the panel, but to have a level set here so we have an understanding of what we're talking about. This is not simply about you on this panel. It is about trillions of dollars of assets that did not exist before Satoshi wrote his white paper 13 years ago. It's about $3 trillion in notional value at this stage around the development of a whole new range, a whole new suite of technology that will be developed across the globe, whether or not the United States embraces it and wants to compete, or if it's pushed offshore. So as policymakers, we need to understand what we're talking about here. This is a small panel, important as you may be, a small panel about the discussion about Web 3. And so with that, Madam Chair, thank you for having this hearing, and I hope that we can have more understanding by policymakers about these important concepts. Thank you, Mr. Brooks.
Thank you very much. The gentlewoman from New York, Mrs.
And so Brian Brooks does a great job of explaining what this technology is. And you can clearly see that Patrick McHenry is passionate about this, and he wants to make sure that as we go through this transition and as Congress begins to write and create laws and policy surrounding this new technology, that it is done in a proper way, that it is done in a way that doesn't alienate individuals who want to participate in the space as far as creating, because whatever is created can create jobs, and what we don't want to do is have rules and regulations that are discouraging for entrepreneurs that would make them want to go to other jurisdictions, countries, and take that creativity and everything that could be provided offshore. And so with that being said, I also have this here. So this is a bill that has passed the Senate and it has also passed the House. It is H.R. House Resolution 6572, Deploying American Blockchains Act of 2023. And there is a misnomer out there. There are people who are, who have an opinion that, hey, you can have the blockchain, you can have these distributed ledgers, you can have these, but you don't have to have the tokens. You don't have to have these cryptocurrencies. And in a sense, that is true, but I don't believe that is how this, um, I don't believe that is how the story is going to unfold. And this is why. So I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but I'm going to go through some quick points. So, boom, right here. House Resolution 6572. This was May 15th, 2024. To direct the Secretary of Commerce to take actions. This is what it's for. Now, to direct the Secretary of Commerce to take actions necessary and appropriate to promote the competitiveness of the United States related to the deployment, use, application, and competitiveness of blockchain technology or other distributed ledger technology, and for other purposes. Be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled. Short title: this act may be cited as the Deploying American Blockchains Act of 2023. And I'm gonna just go through these definitions real quick just to solidify what it is that I'm saying. So in this act, 1, blockchain technology or other distributed ledger technology. The term blockchain technology or other distributed ledger technology means a distributed digital database where data is A, shared across a network of computers to create a ledger of verified information among network participants. B, linked using cryptography to maintain the integrity of the ledger and to execute other functions. And C, distributed among network participants in an automated fashion to concurrently update network participants on the state of the ledger and other functions. Now that is what Brian Brooks was saying. That's what he was explaining. 2, covered non-governmental representatives. The term covered non-governmental representatives means representatives as specified in the second sentence of Section 135B1 of the Trade Act of 1974, except that such term does not include representatives of non-federal governments. Secretary. The term secretary means the Secretary of Commerce. State. The term state means each of the several states, the District of Columbia, each commonwealth, territory, or possession of the United States, and each federally recognized Indian tribe. Now this is major key here. Token. The term token means a transferable digital representation of information recorded on blockchain technology or other distributed ledger technology. If you were going to have blockchains or distributed ledgers without the tokens, the coins, this would not be in here. It wouldn't be in here. So they are defining what a token is. I'm going to read it again. A token means a transferable digital representation of information recorded on blockchain technology or other distributed ledger technology. And tokenization. The term tokenization means the process of creating a token. So, what we understand here, or what we're learning here, is that progress is being made. So, if anybody tells you that the space is like, it's not real, it's not a real thing, it's just a fad, it's gonna come and go. No. It's not true at all. Now, will all of the projects survive going forward? I don't think so. But the space is here. This is a real space. They are making real laws. Deploying American Blockchains Act of 2023. So this is just an example of legislation. This is a point of reference for you. You know, you can dip and dodge all the BS. You know, all of the shadiness. Anybody who's, you know, not equipped, you'll have an understanding. So with that being said, I do appreciate you tuning in to another episode of the Crypto Dojo Show, where we discuss everything you should know about the world of crypto.